Hello everyone, John Luke here, and I'm here with Caleb from Subida Coffee, and we are making a French press today. We're here in the beautiful city of Memphis, where the roasters are. We just had this coffee roasted, and we are about to make a cup for you.
So today we're, like John Luke said, we're doing the French press. It is a fantastic way to make coffee. One, it tastes great. It's really good coffee. And then two, it's super simple. So there are a lot of ways to make coffee. Some are pretty complicated, some are pretty simple. So the level of return for difficulty for a French press is amazing. So not a lot of work, and it's really hard to mess it up. Super simple. There are a few different ways to prepare it, so you can kind of play around, choose your own way, but super simple, make some great coffee.
Yes. So some of our equipment here, we have a French press, obviously, and then we have our scale here, and we're using a scale. We're gonna get this our ratio is exact. But if you're using a French press, one of the beauties about it, you don't have to be super exact. You can just we're gonna be using a 1 to 15 coffee to water ratio. So 1 gram of coffee to 15 milliliters of water. You can also do this in ounces or however way, and you can find that all over the internet. But our first step here to prepare is take the lid off, and then you're going to want to grind your coffee in our grinder here. For a long time, I used a hand grinder and grind my coffee every morning that Caleb is demonstrating. Now I've stepped it up. But you can also get this pre-ground through our subscription box. You can select the French press category, and it will come ready for you.
Yeah, and if you have your own grinder, you can obviously get whole bean. But if not, you can just select French press, and then you know, okay, it's exactly calibrated for a French press that I can make at home.
Exactly. So we're going to be using a very coarse, grind here, and as we have right here. So this is very coarse, much coarser than ground sea salt. It's kind of the consistency of sand, but maybe a little bit coarser there.
You can distinctly see the particles of coffee. They're not huge, but you can tell each individual piece. It's coarse enough for that. So.
Right, and the reason for that is French presses use a metal filter here, so you want the coffee big enough that it won't go through the filter and get into your cup.
Yeah, and then also, you want it to be a little more coarse, because in this method you'll see, and probably if you made some at home, the coffee's soaking in the water. So unlike a pour over where the water's just moving through it, this coffee's spending a lot of time soaking in the water, having extraction occur. If it's too fine, it's going to be way too strong, and it's not going to taste great. So.
Right, exactly. So we are going to, I've already ground my coffee here, but we're going to make we're going to use 32 grams of coffee here, which will make about 2 cups. So I'm going to pour it in here, and we'll get that's 36. Scoop a little bit out. Again, like I said, beauty of a French press, you don't have to be super exact, but we are in this video today.
And if you're using a scale, he just teared it out, or basically stuck the French press on it, took the top off, and then set it to 0, counting for that weight so that you can measure your coffee.
Exactly. Yes, the term tear, did not know what that meant before I really started getting into coffee here. I'm going to go ahead and flatten it out here. And that's kind of just a preference. And then I'm going to, again, tear it out, make it 0. And
so time-wise for this, we're shooting for 4 minutes. And like we mentioned, there are a few different ways to do this. You can kind of look up some different ways, different methods in terms of how you let the coffee bloom. Today, we're going to fill up the French press with water, so pour in all the water we're going to be using. Let it sit there and bloom for 30 seconds.
Right.
And then we will break up that bloom, move that bloom down into the water, and let it sit for another 3 minutes and 30 seconds, total of 4 minutes.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and pour the water in. So most of the time, you're going to want to get in whatever kettle you're using. If you're making on the stove, just take the water to boiling, wait about 30 seconds, and then pour it in. On my temperature scale here, I've got the water at 205 degrees. Most of the time for coffee, you're gonna want it between 195 and 200 degrees. For French press, you want it a little bit hotter because you really want the grounds to, the coffee to soak. So I'm pouring in, like I said, we're using a 1:15 ratio. We did 32 grams of coffee, and so I'm going to pour 600 milliliters of water. I did not just do that math in my head.
It was impressive though.
I used a calculator right before we did this. So that's 600 grams of water, kind of going in a clockwise motion here a little bit, just to kind of make sure it's even. And now we wait. So, Caleb, tell us a little bit about this coffee and why Subida is so special.
Yeah, so we, as a part of Subida, we're actually producers. So oftentimes when you're buying a coffee, you are purchasing it from someone who has purchased it from someone else, and there's a middleman. There could even be multiple steps in that chain of sales. Well, at Subida, we are a part of every different stage of the process. So we produce on the farm end down in Honduras.
Right.
We send it here to the U.S., and then we contract here with Brooks Coffee, who we mentioned are in Memphis, Tennessee, to roast our coffee. So what that means, and the reason I'm saying that is, we can ensure at every single step of the process, from getting the seedlings ready, getting the little baby coffee plants ready, planting those, how we handle the soil, shade, how we pick it and dry it, and then also, well, real quick, so I'll finish that train of thought here in a second. So when you've hit around, this time we'll do about a minute. You want
to be about 30 seconds to a minute to
Yeah.
let it bloom. He's gonna take a spoon, and he is what's called breaking
breaking the bloom.
the bloom.
And so John Luke will put the lid on it now, and we are going to let it run until it hits 4 minutes. And at that point, we will go ahead and plunge the coffee. So like I was saying, as we wait for these last looks like we're about 2 minutes to go. So like I was saying, we are a part of each stage of the process. So we can make sure not only that the coffee beans are the best they can possibly be, but we can also make sure
Which they are very good.
Yeah, so incredible high quality. We're focused on those things, not just making sure that the coffee is handled well, but also the people who are helping us there in country in Honduras, they're treated fairly. We get to control all of that. We make sure we take a lot of responsibility and pride in doing that well. Then we can make sure that as it's being shipped here to the US, that we are using all the proper precautions and methods to get it here safely. I mean, it's our investment, but also we want to protect the coffee, making sure to maintain that humidity level. And then once it's here in Memphis, Tennessee, we get to make sure that we are roasting it to perfection.
One thing that I just learned about coffee is that coffee peaks about 1 week after roasting. So that first 7 days after it's roasted is when you're gonna have your best cup of coffee. When you're a part of the subscription, and this is something that this is why I love coffee subscriptions and I've done them for a while, and I'm doing Subida, is because I know I get my coffee exactly 1 week after it's roasted, and so that first cup is going to be so sweet, because it is prime time for the coffee to age and get right to the right amount for the most flavor. So that's where we're at here.
All right, so we've hit 4 minutes. So John Luke, you want to go ahead and plunge
it? And do you want should I do it fast or slow?
Not too fast, but not terribly slow. You don't want to cause sloshing, but he's just gonna go ahead and apply that pressure and push it down.
It's called plunging. There.
Okay, and that's a French press. So super simple, pretty difficult to mess up, to be honest with you. You can play around with how long you let the coffee bloom. Another method is to just have your coffee in there and then pour in just a portion of water, letting it bloom or letting the water begin to extract with that coffee, and then add the rest of your water later. So there's some different things you can do to play around. But we got the coffee, and so let's go ahead and pour a mug of this. Hope you enjoyed our coffee tutorial. Remember, every time you drink Subida coffee, you are helping change lives through education.
Head over to our link in our bio to sign up for our subscription.